You're on air.
I'd like to call to order the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners regular meeting for February 9th, 2021. This time, if everyone would stand, Commissioner Hill is going to do the invocation and then we'll do the pledge.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, once again, I want to thank you for this opportunity of coming before our citizens and you, Lord, in representation of them. We ask your guiding hand on us as a board and our citizens as a community. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ms. Daniels.
We have two additions under section 1. One is number 21, request board approval or board consideration to issue a letter of support to Washington County promoting their request to the governor to become a state-supported vaccine site serving the Tri-County area. And number 22, request for board adoption of a resolution authorizing the sale of surplus property for economic development purposes. And then also two deletions in section 1, number 16 and number 17, both related to County Road 162.
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer a motion that the agenda be approved with the two additions and two deletions.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Have a motion by Commissioner Donifro, second by Commissioner Pate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Agenda approved. Next, we have the consent agenda items. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the consent agenda items?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Number 2, Ms. Judy Austin.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. I just want to take a few minutes to read the
Ms. Judy,
Sir.
is that mic on or is it me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay,
The employee proclamation for the month of February 2021 for Employee of the Month. Whereas Jackson County has established an Employee of the Month program to recognize one employee to represent the various departments, and whereas Mr. John Wood began his employment with Jackson County on May 7th, 2003, and currently serves in the position of Equipment Operator 3 for the Public Transportation Department, and has been selected as Employee of the Month for February 2021 for the standards that he has displayed in the performance of his job duties. And whereas Mr. Wood is an exemplary employee who demonstrates professionalism in every task he faces, his loyalty and commitment to Jackson County are noticed and admired by his coworkers. And whereas Mr. Wood is a dedicated employee that handles issues that arise in a timely and efficient manner, he always goes above and beyond his everyday duties to assist the public and his coworkers. Mr. Wood comes to work with a can-do attitude and is always willing to handle any task that is presented to him. During the past 6 months, Mr. Wood has taken on the task of cleaning hurricane debris from the drainage ditches countywide. This is a challenging job, and special attention must be paid not to disturb any areas outside the limits of the ditches, and he has performed this task flawlessly. Mr. Wood sets a good example for other employees and has proven himself to be a valuable asset to the Public Transportation Department. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Jackson County, Florida commends and congratulates Mr. John Wood on his selection as Employee of the Month for February 2021.
Johnny, come up. Johnny does a good job working in my area. I got a call yesterday after about 5 o'clock. And Johnny has interacted a lot with us over there, and he's very responsive. He talks to FaceTime, talks to, and he does an outstanding job with that. I guess we got to do
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve Mr. Wood as EOM of Employee of the Month for February 2021. Authorize a $50 check and a paid day off.
we have a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill, approving the check and the day off. Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Okay, Miss Sandy Martin. Tell us how great we're doing. I know you've vaccinated everyone, right?
Good morning.
Good
Not
morning.
everyone, but we're doing well. We are doing great. We are doing great. So the COVID-19 report for Jackson County as of today, 2/9/21, cumulative cases is 5,768. And statewide, our percent positive has dropped significantly to 7.37%. 2 weeks ago, Jackson County was an average of 8.24%. And the last 7 days, we've averaged 5.45% positive of those tested. So we're back under 10%, and I'm feeling good about that. So thank you everyone for doing your part to social distance, wear your mask, wash your hands, and to get vaccinated. Currently, we are monitoring 115, and as you recall, I've been reporting numbers in the 300s. So getting down close to 100 again is pretty strong for us. Of those, we don't have any significant outbreaks. 11 are representative of school system, 17 long-term care, and the rest is the community at large. Jackson Hospital only had 6 in-house. 4 of those 6 are on ventilators, and as you recall, we've had double-digit numbers in-house at Jackson Hospital, so we're proud to announce that there's just 6 today. Our deaths are still at 134. Any questions on that before I move on? Okay, vaccination efforts. Commissioner Donifro, you'll be pleased to see a new report that I have as of this morning. It starts on page 3 of your packet. The vaccination coverage in adults 65 plus years old. Jackson County is at 44% covered in those 65 plus, and that's a statewide report there. To date, Jackson County has administered 7,443 doses to Jackson County residents, to 5,577 citizens. That's because some of those doses were second doses. 1,866 have completed the series. And we're going to add probably another 1,800 to that tomorrow. We have our big Ag Center second doses only at the Ag Center 9 to 3. No need to come early. We do have the second doses available. You won't need to wait for it. They are there. So 9 to 3, the Ag Center tomorrow. I'm hoping the weather holds. Today was the first morning we've had to alter vaccination activities a little bit because of the lightning so bad around the building. We are still vaccinating those that had appointments, but some of those were brought into the building, and some of those will be rescheduled for another time because they didn't feel comfortable being there, and our staff certainly couldn't be out in the lightning this morning. We have a new registration line, and that we need to publish widely. The registration line for Jackson County citizens is 866-201-4069.
Repeat that.
The number is 866-201-4069. There's also a helpline number if you need additional assistance, and that number is 833-540-2036. Again, the helpline number is 833-540-2036. The registration is a statewide registration system that has, it's available to all counties. Jackson County has opted in as part of that registration system. You call that number, or you can go online at www.myvaccine.fl.gov. We'll put all this out on social media as well. Myvaccine.fl.gov, and you can register. You simply choose your county. You put in your name, address, and phone number, and how you would like to be contacted. There's an email, text, phone, how you would like to be contacted. If you are not computer savvy, you simply call the telephone number and you register that way. And when vaccine appointments are available, the system will alert you, okay, now's your time. You call in and someone helps you make an appointment for that day. You actually talk to a person, okay? That will be a state individual, not someone local to us, but we'll be able to help you through that system. We're just now starting that. We did advertise it last week, so that our old link that we were using has shut down. We have contacted, incidentally, every person on our list. And some of those we didn't get in touch with, they don't answer the phone or what have you. But we will still, the ones that we didn't contact, we will upload them to this system so they will still get another shot at getting contacted.
So is that registration primarily aimed at 65 and over, or is?
Yes, sir. Excellent question. Thank you. It is for 65 and older and healthcare workers. Although our healthcare workers in Jackson County have been covered largely by the hospital or by us, simply because we have good relationships with all healthcare agencies. And so if you work with an agency in Jackson County, you've probably already been vaccinated. But if you have not, you can certainly work with your agency and they have direct contact with us, and we'll make sure healthcare workers get vaccinated.
Ms. Sandy, is there any indication when we may start picking up people below 65?
Gosh, I get that.
Especially teachers and that type of stuff.
Yes, sir. I get that question every day, and we're following the governor's executive order, as you know, and I'm just guessing. But in that, we put out this statewide report today indicating that a good bit of the state is in the 30% coverage in 65 plus, and a couple of counties have even hit 50. I suspect we're going to start to run out of available names, and when that happens in that system, I suspect they will open that up. But I could not tell you exactly when.
Okay, but you will push that information out.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be glad to. It's difficult when you have 500 vaccine, but you've only got 400 names.
Any other questions from the board?
Yes, sir.
I hate to ask this question, but I've had people ask me, have you got your shot? I said, well, I'm not 65. And they said, well, I've got mine. How is some people getting their shot when they're less than 65? They're not healthcare workers. How's that happening?
A couple of ways. One way would be that in the frenzy of things, perhaps they slipped through the line, certainly in the early days of vaccination efforts statewide. That's one way that could have happened. Another way would be that someone thought that they were healthcare or something, and poor communication. Again, in the early days, that did happen statewide. One more way is end of day doses. When we have already drawn up a vial, vials come in doses of 10, sometimes 11 with Moderna vials. When we've drawn up that whole vial, we have 6 hours to give it. So sometimes what happens is we have maybe 8 or 9, or we drew an extra dose out of the vial, we have 11 or what have you. We have 6 hours to get it in somebody. So sometimes people are in the right place at the right time.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Ms. Sandy. Appreciate it.
Are you
Keep up the
gonna
good work.
Are you
Sure.
staying?
She normally does it.
About the,
go ahead and address it.
yeah, the add-on about
Yeah.
the Washington County district site.
Okay.
Where is it?
It's on the add-on. Number 21 on the add-on.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and present. We've requested, or we're requested to consider issuing a letter of support to Washington County promoting their request to the governor to become a state-supported vaccination site, which would serve in this, it says a tri-county area. In the body of the email, it just said Holmes and Washington. And so Cottondale called me last night. They were also requested to give a letter of support, and they deferred to the board. They would give one if the board did. So it's my understanding that there's no wrong or right answer, that a state-run site has to run 7 days a week, and it's actually staffed by state workers. And then, but because it has to run 7 days a week, there is the potential for lower vaccines, because they would have to supply vaccines there theoretically. So it could impact the vaccines we get in Jackson County, but maybe not. There may be plenty to go around. So I don't really think it's a right or wrong. If it's a state-run site, we could certainly send citizens over there, but just really need the board's direction on whether you want to give a letter of support.
Where would they do it?
They've got a place already located. I've known about it for a little while, but I didn't know they were going to ask for recommendations. But I think it's out on Hamilton Highway.
It's in Washington County. I don't have, it's Pecan Road, and it's at an industrial park. It's got about a mile-long ingress and mile-long egress to hold vehicles to get them off Highway 90 and homes in Washington counties. That was the biggest concern there.
Do they have a building?
They're going to put up.
They're putting up a pole barn.
Miss Sandy, right now you're interim over Washington County and Holmes County, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you think about this? And if it does cut down on our, well, I know a lot of people have to drive further, but they can do it 7 days a week. So what do you think about the letter of support?
Homes in Washington County will be better served by that location, simply because of the locations they're using right now in Washington County, the First Baptist Church. So that's not a problem unless there's a funeral or something that happens. I mean, it's not a county-owned facility. In Holmes County, they're using a location that's right on Highway 90. That backs up traffic on Highway 90, so there's a safety concern there. So it certainly makes sense for homes in Washington counties. It does make sense to have a 7-day-a-week site. That would be fantastic to have that site. It would alleviate pressure on my staff, actually in all 3 counties, but certainly in Jackson County too. I would just like to know that there would still be vaccine availability within Jackson County, even if it were small. For reference, all 3 counties right now, we're getting 500 vaccines per week. And that's been for the last 2 weeks. I expect that to happen probably another week. And then I don't know what might happen, whether it would be more or less. I do suspect over time, one would think more vaccine would be coming, and that probably would not be an issue. Right now, Holmes and Washington Board of County Commissions are both moving forward with that site for themselves. The state has not said that they will make a state-run site out of it, but they wanted to move forward with that site anyway, just to keep the traffic down on Highway 90.
Commissioner Hill?
So again, we don't know the dynamics of how it would affect us as a county with the flow of.
It's possible, but I can't say with certainty. It's possible that it could decrease the vaccines coming specifically to Jackson County. That's a possibility, but it would also increase the availability of vaccinations to 7 days a week from your current 1 or maybe 2.
So they can limit where the people come from.
No, they cannot.
So,
No,
so if somebody
statewide.
from Alabama wanted to come in,
They
can go?
cannot come from out of state unless
Out of state.
they own property here or can prove that they are snowboard or set up some sort of residence here. But anyone in the state of Florida with a Florida ID could go to that site. Yes, as they can today. They can go to any health department now.
How far is it from here to that site?
There's a-
25 miles.
There's a MapQuest in your packet showing, I believe it was 20 miles
From here.
from here, from this address.
So Sneed's, and then up in the corners, that's a long way. That's
Right.
still, we
Right.
don't have enough here, but then they can go 7 days a week. So I don't know.
So could we just make the letter of support to say we support the state-run site? We just want to note, we would ask that this not limit vaccine availability to Jackson County.
I think that would be preferable, yes.
There is no effort to have a state-supported site in Jackson County.
There is not, no, sir.
One more question for you.
Okay, Commissioner Hill?
Miss Sandy, you mentioned to us that if we knew of places that small groups or other that could incrementally go out and get it, is that still in place to go?
Yes, sir, it is. We did work with emergency management to go out to different groups, including church groups, and we've gotten, I think, maybe 10 total from all churches. So we don't have a big response on that. Of those, we've opted just to bring them to the health department during a vaccine day because, that wasn't very many. But certainly if you have large groups, yes, absolutely, we'll go out to you. But
Consider that about 25 or more, or would you like more than that?
I'd like 50 or more to go out to somewhere else because, keep in mind, we can run about 130 or so per hour. So we can do that certainly faster there at the health department site.
Any other questions from the board? Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we grant the request to add the language that we just discussed. About the
Yes, we'll add you, take
availability.
care of that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill, to approve the request with stipulated language. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 4-1. Commissioner Donifro.
My
Thank you.
opposition is just, as has been voiced, the concern that it might have an impact on the vaccines available here. Just not knowing the information, it's just hard for me to.
Well, we could, if you mind, Mr. Chairman, we could, if it seemed like that between now and the time that decision is made, if it looks like it's one, I would advise staff to call us and let us know about it, because if it,
You're not gonna know.
well, that's.
And
Well, we can,
You won't know until it's going.
and plus, did they already turn them down once?
They did.
Okay, so they might not even get it, so
Okay.
they'll be running their own little thing there, and we should be fine.
Currently, the site will be run by Holmes and Washington County Health Departments.
Okay.
Our staff.
Have that be a state run and
Well, it's not. They're just putting up the pole barn and we will move from the First Baptist Church and we will move from the Holmes County Annex to that site because it's a safer place to do business.
but if they get approved by the state, y'all
Then-
won't be doing it.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. I mean, we'll do what we can to support it, but if the state run means literally that. The state brings in their
But y'all
own
are the
supplies
state,
and own
so
staff.
that is-
I know, it's difficult to follow.
And we get calls like it's our health department, which it is our health department, but it's run by the state. It is the state. That's why I said when I get calls about it, so.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, Mr. David Melvin.
Good morning. Just want to bring you some updates on our Endeavor project. One is the demolition is continuing out there. It's at about 60 or 70%. Still think they'll finish on time with their contract if it'll ever stop raining on it, but the demo is going well on it. The other thing, as far as the autism facility, we have a weekly meeting every week for about an hour and a half, and that's moving along well. We hope maybe at the next meeting or the following meeting, bring to you a set of plans for the renovation of the autism school out there, so we can go ahead and put that out for bid on it. Then the third item is we have this opportunity that kind of popped up pretty quick, and that's to apply for housing out there through the state of Florida Housing Finance. Applications are due March the 16th, and there's quite a bit of work to be done to put that together. It would be a 50 or 60 unit development out there. It's targeted for IDD, intellectual and developmental disability individuals. 50% of the units have to be set aside for those. Tallahassee just was awarded one, not the city of Tallahassee, but an organization called Independence Landing. And in that case, the city of Tallahassee leased to Independence Landing, I think it's 20 acres for 60 years for $10 an acre. What this, I'm kind of briefing you on it because if you're good with it, then next week our next meeting.
Dave.
Yes, sir.
I hate to interrupt you. Luann, did the other commissioners get a copy of this?
I don't believe so.
I can get that to them.
You would provide it to them.
Okay.
It'd be helpful, I'm sure. Yeah.
So if you're good with us proceeding on this, next commission meeting will come to you with the things, primarily the things that the county commission be asked to do is that area that we designated for housing that's near Pierce Hall out there, the 15 acres. You would lease that long-term to your Endeavor Ford nonprofit organization, because the Endeavor Ford nonprofit organization would be the applicant for this housing. And right now we have the partners of Royal American, which is in Panama City. You know, that's a big company that we have a good relationship with. They have 4 properties in Jackson County already to be the developer management organization of that. And we have a kind of working with a consultant on that, Jim Whitaker, who has been the executive director of the ARC, the Arc of Jacksonville for 20 years. And he helped Independence Landing. He helped develop a similar facility in Jacksonville as well. So we're putting together a lot of those pieces. Actually, we got a meeting Friday to go out and look at the site and everything like that. And so it'll be kind of a fast-paced thing. If you ask me my gut feeling on it, I think we can get this in. We stand maybe a 50% chance of getting funded this time. But if we put in this time next year, we may jump up to an 80% chance of getting funded. Organizations that got funded the last couple of years, it was always on their second attempt to make that application on it. So that's kind of it in a nutshell of putting that together. And unless you have objections to it or questions about it or anything, we'll have our act together and bring that to you at the next meeting.
David, this is a grant, it's a no match grant.
That's correct. It's in some places, the entity puts in some different funding and all, but like in Independence Landing case, there was no match grant. Actually, read through there, they paid the city $500,000 in impact fees through the grant. The city did give them the land for 60 years to build on over there and develop. And so it'd be 50 or 60 units, 50% of those have to be set aside for individuals that meet the IDD classification on it. As far as our students at the Autism Academy, this cannot be student housing. Individuals that go there have to sign a 1-year lease agreement. Of course, ultimately, the autism program may be a 1 or 2 year program, and we hope that they have like long-term employment with Family Dollar or someone like that, so it may become their permanent residence. But we may also need to find some other funding to build 5 or 10 additional units that will serve as our student housing, because this is a good opportunity for housing in the county.
So it would be housing for the Autism Center plus workforce housing. Is that correct?
That's correct. It can be workforce, it can be 50% have to meet the IDD definition. And it can't be student housing, although, if they sign a 1-year lease on it, then they're good. If it's their permanent housing, they can fit in there on it. But we can't call it student housing. It can't be for just purely student housing.
50% of it has stipulations to it, and it
Right.
can be the autism students.
That's correct. Because
Okay.
they would meet the
What
IDD
about the rest
definition
of it? What's this?
Workforce.
for
Just
the.
workforce?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't think there's any restriction on the additional 50% on it. Rural American they have to make sure that they can make it profitable because they'll be the management organization for the property management. The county, through your Endeavor Ford, will kind of be the owner. So you will kind of maintain ownership. The Endeavor Ford is the nonprofit organization that the county and the city kind of jointly set up. The other thing we've got it's the Endeavor Ford got its 501c3 designation 2 or 3 weeks ago on that, so it's a valid nonprofit, and we may be looking at revamping, the membership and all on that, because we kind of appointed members, and the city did about 2 years ago, and it's kind of waned over that 2-year period a little bit, so it's time to revamp it a little bit. So we're working on recommendations for that as well.
Got a list of people that are on that.
The land has one.
The land
Yeah.
has
Do I hear a motion? We'll need a motion to allow you to go out for the grant, right?
Yeah, and we'll bring that at the next,
meeting?
we'll bring that at the next meeting.
Start working on it.
Well, if you tell me no, that's not something you're interested in doing, then we'll drop it now. So, but if you're good with us proceeding, then we'll pull all this information together and bring it to you at the next meeting. It's just, I want to give you a heads up because it's on a fast track.
So would it be more appropriate to do a motion subject to the information? What else extra information from now to 2 weeks from today? Will you have that will shift the change?
Yeah, and I think that the primary things that you'll be doing at the next meeting is agreeing to that lease to Endeavor Ford of that 15 acres or so out there on it, and then maybe looking at your Endeavor board again, and maybe some recommendations on new members or on that.
We don't need a motion today. Yeah, I'm about to say, we
That's
can make a
all I was
motion.
trying to do, is give him authorization.
But if we go ahead and do a motion. I
Yeah,
think we don't
there's
have to worry about it.
no question. I make a motion, commission that we move forward and subject to any major change that David can proceed with this without further board action.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill, and Ms. Danielle has no idea what you're saying.
without further board action, you need to bring that lease back.
Correct.
Well, but as far as any other things for proceeding forward, just all we need to do is sign the lease at the next board meeting, correct? Or authorize.
Right, yeah, I'll present that, so, yeah, I guess, probably you don't need to say without the
Okay, yeah,
subject
we'll have to come
board,
back to the
just
lease.
proceed.
Yeah, that's the financial side.
All we're doing is giving him the authority to move forward.
Yeah, right.
Our blessing. Once he gets it prepared, you bring it back, we'll review it, and we'll do another motion
Accept the
to
lease.
allow you to submit it.
Correct.
Okay, everybody straight? All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Hill and second by Commissioner McKinney. Danielle, do you have a question?
No, I'm good now.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Okay. With Ms. Christie Andreessen.
Good morning, Board. This item is to request a public hearing to be set for the review and adoption of an ordinance for the tourist development plan. This is just an update to our plan, and we are wanting to set the public hearing for 6:15 p.m. on Tuesday, February 23rd.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. I do have one question in reading that. Are we including the Welcome Center in that?
Like the 231 Welcome Center?
Correct.
Yes, sir. If that were to go through, that would be a part of the visitor and welcome centers amount that's allocated out. Again, that'd be something we wouldn't try to take on that full amount. We'd want to work with other counties to help cover some of those expenses.
Okay, we have a motion.
I have a question as well.
Commissioner
And I-
Donifro?
Yeah, and Christie, I don't know if you can hear me okay, but at the very end of the plan where you're talking about how each one of the 1 cents can be used, how they have to be expended towards different components. At the very end of the revenues generated by the 4th percentage point on a 24-month projected revenue, the item D, everything else is pretty clear, but it talks about boundaries. How does that fit into the expenditure of dollars?
I think that one's actually my error on formatting. That was supposed to be a separate item. It's not actually under
Okay.
just item 4. So I'll need to go back and reformat that. That's my oversight. I'm sorry.
I just didn't quite make sense how that was being impacted by the expenditure of dollars. So,
No, sir, you're absolutely right. That's supposed to be, I think, item 5. No, maybe not even item 5. I'll have to go back and look. It was something. It's not D under 4, it's just D under the entire plan, if I remember correctly.
I think we can probably pass a plan with those adjustments
Well,
we made.
we're just setting the public hearing, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, we just set the public hearing. So we can,
Okay, and you made the motion. Hill seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. And that public hearing will be at the next board meeting, correct?
Yes, sir, at the next board meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Christie. Joey?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So this morning, I'm looking for board approval of an amended service agreement with iWork. The amended service agreement with iWork will allow us to add 3 additional forms or selections to our web portal for citizens, so that we can add a planning section to that part, so we can make more of the permitting process through community development completely doable online. So the cost of the additional forms will be $500 up front, then it'll get rolled into our annual renewal.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donifro. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.
Chief Bruner.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Morning.
The first item we have here this morning is board approval and authorization for the chairman to sign the Florida Department of Transportation State Financial Assistance Agreement for the transportation of the disadvantages. It's an appropriations act that provides Jackson County with appropriation of $500,000 to purchase 2 ambulances. This is 100% cost reimbursement to the county.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve the request and authorize chairman to sign.
Second.
okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Fake, second by Commissioner McKinney to approve this request. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next.
Thank you. The next item is the request for board approval to purchase 2 ambulances from Fraser Company off the Houston-Galveston Area Council by contract, and for the total amount of $435,380. Of course, this was for the previous financial assistance
A
agreement.
motion to approve the purchase of the 2 ambulances, and these, go ahead for a second. These will be ready to roll once they are received, right?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Completely furnished.
Yes, sir.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Donifro, second by Commissioner Hill. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next.
All right. The last item I have today, I wanted to discuss with the board and update our commissioners here on the FEMA Assistance to Firefighter Grant, known as the AFG grant, that we've been working on for the past couple of months here. Just a short topic on this grant. We came to the conclusion that we wanted to apply for this grant for continuity throughout the county, and so the grants for self-contained breathing apparatuses, are better known as SCBAs. When I started back here as a chief, one of the problems we saw throughout the entire county was the continuity between departments in using their equipment. And what I was told from fires like the Daffin building, where multiple or all of the volunteer fire departments helped career fire departments in a large event like that, there wasn't able to exchange equipment on the scene and use the equipment. One department would have a specific brand that couldn't match another department and so forth. And so in doing some research with all of the departments that we've talked with in the county, we saw a need for this grant. We saw a need to replace the air packs, and not only within our department, but with all the department. And what better way to go after FEMA Assistance Firefighter Grant funding to help accomplish this goal. And so the goal behind this is by one brand that all departments could use. This would cut costs on one vendor going to a certain department, charging them a certain amount of money, and then going to a larger department and maybe getting a break. This also would allow, if we're on another large scene somewhere in this county, whether it's one half of the county or the entire county, I could borrow a different department's air bottle, they could borrow mine, complete interoperability between departments. There are some limitations that we found with this grant working in here. Due to our population size, we're limited at $1 million. And $1 million does seem like a lot, but on a 90-10 grant, you're getting $1 million worth of equipment for $100,000. We found a need for 200 total air packs in the entire county. However, due to budgetary constraints, we got the numbers in late yesterday evening. We would have to do this in 2 phases. We would ask that this first phase be for all of the departments minus the county's career department, because, and the reason we're doing this is there's enough air packs to fill all the departments minus my own department to move forward, because it's an all or none. The masks aren't interchangeable when you go to this new air pack. So where all these departments on phase 1 would get this new equipment, they could all be interoperable. And then the following year, we follow through and do our own department, because we're capped based on our population size for Jackson County. We're considered rural, of course, and based on
the population less than 100,000, we're capped at the $1 million grant, whereas other counties like Miami-Dade, they have a larger ceiling there. So we derived that we need about 125 packs for this first phase of this grant. And the grant's due Friday. We've put a lot of hours into it. We've had a lot of meetings. Commissioner Hill's been involved on his expertise and his end. And we've had a lot of buy-in, a huge support for this. Another reason we saw this need for this grant is these air packs have to be flow tested and maintained every year according to the FPA standard because it is a piece of life-saving equipment. So what we found is a lot of these vendors that maintain these packs are going to these smaller departments, and they're getting not only charged for the maintenance, but they're getting charged for the travel charge. And so different vendors, or the same vendor, may be coming to different parts of the county, these different departments, but they don't know that they've already charged, for example, Sneed's a $200 travel charge and Graceville a $200, or Campbellton. So what we found is on the back end of this grant, we're awarded this equipment, bring it all to one central area, inventory it, and then we set up a process of where once a year, maintenance, the vendor comes in, performs the flow testing and the required maintenance. Should we have one get damaged or used or go down? It's basically a one-stop shop, if you will. I think you'll find a lot more savings there based on research and you know, if a department in the county has a pack that goes bad from fighting fire, we'll have another pack we can take out there to them readily. And there's really no missing step there. They will have the equipment they need to move forward.
Charlie, how
yes.
much would it take to do all of it at one fell swoop?
Well, the budgetary grant the budgetary quote, excuse me, that we received at the beginning for 200 packs, it would include about 200 masks and about 400 bottles. And that seems like a lot, but that is the number of packs per riding position in each apparatus that we derived. Commissioner Hill helped out with that. We really appreciated his help there. Was about $2.1 million. But that was a budgetary quote. That was not going through procurement services, and that was not looking at any other contracts that other larger departments in the state have already bid it out.
In talking with these volunteer departments, have y'all come to the conclusion of the unit that y'all want to buy? Everybody's on board with it?
Yes, sir. There are several volunteer departments, primarily on the west side of the county, that have used grants like the State Fire Marshal's grant that's available to volunteer departments only, that have got a very small quantity, about 3 or 4 of these packs. And they're very happy with the pack itself, and they actually recommended. I know Campbellton's got some, Cottondale, Compass Lake in the Hills, I think just got awarded a grant, and even offered the town of Alford. So, you know, in this first phase, this would complete all of the volunteers minus our own department. We would retain ours, and then we could look at even some trade-in against that value. Okay. Talking with some vendors on your price, we could look at some other contracts like Lake County Fire Rescue and the board that bidded it out, and they're saving about 25% cost on using their contract.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, so the grant that you're applying for right now is only $1 million.
Yes, sir. We're capped at $1 million.
And 10% of that would be a match from the county.
Yes, sir. And it's not what I explained to Ms. Daniels and Ms. Tidwell is that it would be in the next fiscal year 21-22. So commissioners would have time to come up with the match and work through that through budget year this year.
And how does the Mariana Fire Department fit into this?
So we actually used, there's several different types of FEMA AFG grants. We're doing a multi-jurisdictional grant. And so we're using every municipality's buy-in, I guess you would say, and they're for this grant. So every municipality is represented in this grant.
Okay, any more questions? I'm sorry.
So on this percentage, we've talked before,
Yes,
just for clarification now, Sneed's, for example, we got $45,000 worth of bunker gear, air packs,
Yes,
a
sir.
year and a half ago. So those trading values is probably still high. We pay like 4,900 a pack.
Well, that
So we
would,
can trade those possibly in towards that 10%.
that would be, something we could work
Right,
through
sure.
because that equipment's owned by the municipality themselves.
sure.
So, whether each department retain it for training,
Right.
look at it. I know from a county standpoint, our edition of our packs and throughout the county are the 2007 editions. And so as we move forward year by year, those editions are falling off on the back end. So the need to be replacing these packs are coming due within the 15-year mark. So one thing that the board can consider for our equipment is a trade-in value, and you don't want to get your feelings hurt, I guess you'd say, on them lowballing you on a trade-in value, depending on how new and how worn your packs are. But of course, we have local college here that could use the packs for training. Should the board decide to want to surplus them and donate them. So there are some options that we could help out other people.
Charlie, what would you, as far as applying and possibly receiving the grant, what would you describe the chances of getting awarded the grant? I mean, good, very good?
I think, based on the information that we input, the number of calls that we gathered, all of the packs are the 2007 editions throughout the county, in doing research with these volunteers. And the need that we've shown, there are a lot of departments that don't have enough air packs in the county to fill the number of riding positions that's set forth by NFPA. So you might have a truck with 4 riding positions, but they only have 2 packs. So I think showing that need in the narrative, showing the fact that they're all 2007 editions and they're right about 15 years old, I think that we stand a pretty high chance of getting awarded this grant.
I guess being new to the board, my question would be, if awarded this grant, I mean, I've not been through the budget process. Commissioner McKinney has not been through the budget process. Is it fair to say that there's a good way of coming up with the money to fund this match?
Ask those 2 ladies sitting over there.
It's always tough to come up with.
100,000 is a pretty big pill to swallow.
I would say you would have to consider not giving the $7,500 grant to those 10 volunteers. You can't do it all. This would be that. This would be
For that
to
year.
help them and help
That
others.
year.
And just to kind of put some numbers on things, and when you're talking about $100,000 a pack a budgetary quote pack per price is around $7,100 for 1 pack for 1 firefighter. So when you do the math on that, I mean, if you're getting 100 packs off that, you're really getting the best deal, best bang for your buck if you're awarded this grant. So, I mean, you're getting a lot of equipment for a very, what I would say, small price. I mean, big price for finance, but I mean, you're getting a lot of money.
It's a big price.
100,000 is small. If you're talking about doing the other part, to
And,
get to the 2.1 million, that would be large.
and I guess.
No, we're not doing that.
And I guess the diamond in the rough there is the upgraded technology that these packs offer. So your thermal imager camera that will allow for safety, not only for the firefighters and the rescue operations, but then the property conservation on the back end. Each pack has a thermal imager camera in it. You're doing rescues, and then you're saving the property instead of tearing out a whole wall. You can identify if there's a fire in a wall. You're doing less damage to the homeowner's property. So there's many safety features.
Charlie, my concern will be that, 10 years from now, 15, we'll be back in the same boat. So how do we get around that?
Well, unfortunately, 15 years from now,
I won't be here.
well, I can't attest to that, but what I will say, it has, we would have to work out some type of, I mean, stagger them. You could
Yeah.
stagger them. The only problem is the models that we have and a lot of fire departments have now, when you go to this new model, the masks aren't interchangeable because we've missed so many years of a gap here. And so, if you get on a rotation cycle, you could look at leasing options, grant options. You could look at buying them off larger departments like Jacksonville Fire Rescue. every 5 years, they're buying over 1,000 packs, and then they, at the end of that 5-year period, they sell them out. Larger departments do that because they see themselves as kind of like the test for the new stuff.
Well, could we buy from them
It's a possibility.
under this grant?
I would have to look at the fine language in the grant to see if it's new or if you could buy used.
Okay. All right.
But these packs are very new in the fact that they've rolled out, that I think only their 3rd year now that they've rolled out with these features. So this edition is very new.
Does these volunteer fire departments know that if we go this way, they might lose some of their funding that we give them?
We discussed that in some of the meetings, and Commissioner Hill was present with us, and no promises were made. I told him that this is going to be a long venture, that we would have to, at the end, we may not even be awarded the grant,
Right.
and we might just go back to ground zero and round one. But we talked about it in the Chiefs meeting. We had a Chiefs meeting where we were all there, and I think they see the benefit of all the pros that we weighed out, and they need it,
Well, I think it's a given.
Yes, sir.
This stuff should be,
Yes, sir.
you should be able to swap with Eric.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're working as a team.
And,
Go ahead,
and with
Commissioner
the
Hill.
limited
I'll get to
budget,
Jack Garland.
they struggle with the maintenance on the back end because, if somebody's driving an hour just to work on one pack for 30 minutes, they're going to hit you in the pocket.
Couple of things.
Yes, sir.
Charlie, 36 career firefighters you have on your staff, including yourself, right? 36?
38.
38.
Yes, sir.
So, and you got 2 more years on your pack, 15 years of carbons go away, right?
Correct.
So, let's see. So you'll be asking for 270,000 in a year and a half on our budget because you have 277 models in 2022. They're deleted, right?
Correct. We've got,
Is it all the same year or are they?
they're all the
staggered?
same year. Yes.
So literally in a year and a half on budget, I guess that would be 2022, 2023. You don't be needing 270 without cost adjustments, $270,000 worth of things. So if we got the grant from y'all, we could budgetary line item something different than that, correct? Because if we got $270,000 due for y'all, no matter what, because we had no control of the 15 years, you cannot go into a fire with carbon after 15.
Right. You'd have to, but we could also reapply just because we got this grant this year doesn't
Right.
exclude us from applying for any of them next year.
Right. So I think the
To help.
$7,500 that Danielle mentioned earlier is a very viable option. That's a no-brainer because the $7,500 is for a grant application to be tried
Right.
to match. And also for that 1 year, that would be a no-brainer. And also if we could find out if we could trade in the gear, because most of them I guess there's 14 departments, is that correct? 10 volunteers, 2 county and 2 city?
We're
Or
right
I guess,
at,
or
right at 12 departments.
right, so yeah, if you incorporate
Wait.
the 2. So each one of them really would have to come up with a little less than 10,000 apiece for those. And in that, each department could 7,500 would take care of that. They'd have a year and a half now to come up with $4,000, a couple of $3,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I think that too, this doesn't exclude each individual departments from applying on their own. So this is not knocking them out of the window should they want to apply for their own grant, for their own equipment. This also doesn't exclude them from the fire marshal's grant that they're eligible for or any others.
Ms. Garland?
I just wanted to remind the board that you all have done a really, really good job during budget, specifically in the 2 that I've been a part of having Charlie present an item that may be $100,000 and you all saying, well, we can't commit 100,000, but we'll put aside 20,000. So I just want to remind us that we do have that opportunity to look at a project and maybe know that in 15 years, we're going to have to budget for something so that we can start parceling money that's going to be applicable kind of with the strategic thinking of how do we plan for the maintenance and the recurring costs that's going to come with these items. So you guys have done a very good job of that. So it's just a continuation of that process.
Mr. Pate?
Have some of them applied for these pieces of equipment through the CARES Act?
They're not eligible with the CARES
they're
Act.
not?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions?
Just one last statement real quick.
Yes, sir.
Charlie, right now, at the rate of 15 years, and of course, they'll go up multiple,
Yes, sir.
7,100. You're currently on average budgeting about, looks like 18,000 a year for air packs over the course of 15 years. So
Right.
if we just kept that trend up for that, basically on the course of what we're having to expend anyway, then we could just keep that line item open. And if we get the grant, that's a blessing because we get them at 90% of the cost analysis.
Right.
And so just move that forward. I don't know what the cost adjustment would be, probably even 2,000 a pack. You probably.
The only reservation I have with, you couldn't do a partial department because then you would require the masks aren't interoperable. So you would have half your department using your old pack still if you only, the initial.
No. What I'm saying is just from a budgetary needs
Right,
standpoint, you
right.
know, I'm all with the cohesiveness. I
right.
know. What I'm just saying is that we're already pretty much spending 18,000 a year, not at one time, to buy
Sure.
36, 38 packs for y'all just alone. So that's just for y'all to be
Right.
covered at. So obviously the other volunteers would have to look at continually during that course of getting
Right.
close to time. Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a motion?
I have a motion. We accept it. Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Pate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. The motion allows Charlie to go for the grant.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, moving right along. Rhett Daniel.
Morning, Board.
Morning, sir.
Today I have a request for you to approve the 2021 Blue Springs Recreational Area schedule. So wanting to do things a little different this year. Traditionally, we'll open Memorial Day weekend and then go 7 days a week until school goes back in, usually early, mid-August, and then go weekends only to Labor Day. So what I'd like to try this year instead is to open the week of spring break, local spring break, which will be March 20th, and open the full week of spring break and go weekends only until Memorial Day. And then when Memorial Day hits, go 7 days a week until school goes back in around the 15th.
Now, are you going, when you say school goes back in, are you referring to high school?
Yes,
or
sir.
college?
High school.
Because there is a difference.
There is. We stick to the Jackson County School Board schedule.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, the pass, is the pass, don't stay the same price, the yearly pass?
All the fees are going to maintain the same.
Okay,
Yes.
so then buy a pass and get a lot more time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And what's that
$30
for?
goes a long
$30?
way.
Sure.
Yep.
I make a motion with accept it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill to accept this proposal. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pate. Are there any questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank y'all.
We already got lifeguards and stuff lined up.
Well, I'll add, it'll be contingent on staffing, so I didn't want to go out and advertise for jobs that I didn't know I was gonna have. So now, I'll go through the process to advertise for lifeguard and concession workers to have everything lined up by spring break.
Hunter Potts.
Okay, good morning, Chairman and Commissioners.
Morning.
The first item I have is to request board approval of transfer of insurance proceeds to PW 941 for Hurricane Michael damages related to Blue Springs Parks contents. So this would be replacing like the floating dock, some kayaks, canoes, and things like that that were damaged by the storm, that we have insurance proceeds in the amount of $68,371.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donifro. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next.
Similar to that first item is board approval of transfer of the insurance proceeds to PWs 619, 620, and 1326 for Hurricane Michael damages related to the Ag Center inventory. So this is like some of the bleachers, tables, AC unit, things like that.
Got a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next.
Next item is board approval of change orders numbers 1 and 2 and certificate of final completion for RFP 1920-22, the Ag Center concession stand. So the project is complete and this is looking to the closeout of that. So need your signature on that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill. Second by Commissioner McKinney.
Question, Chairman, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Just terminology, the $15,000, Hunter, that's defined as a contingency.
Sure.
Is that in the contract?
Yes, yes.
Well, really, it's really not a change order then, it's a contingency change.
Right.
So, I mean, because it's not affecting the contract.
It's not affecting the contract, but if those weren't needed, that cost would go back to the county and come off the contract total.
Authorizing the use of the contingency within those line items. This is a FEMA project. I'm assuming he's had direction from his consultant to do it this way.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next. Hunter,
Sorry.
you can't get that thing to work, can you?
Requesting board approval of certificate of final completion for the RFP 2021-07 Ag Center pole barn. So this project is also complete, so just asking for your signature on that certificate to approve final payment.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pate. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Next item is to.
Wait a minute. We deleted 15 on my list.
16, 17.
Okay, you're going,
No, we deleted 16 and 17.
is there some reason, or you presenting item 15?
I think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's yours.
Deletion is 16 and 17.
I thought it was 15, 17.
No, it's 16, 17.
All right, go ahead. My
Okay.
bad.
No problem. So requesting board approval to award the contract for RFP 2021-08 fire rescue pole barn to the lowest bidder. And that's going to be for the base bid plus alt one in the amount of $29,258.24. For the
How
cost-
much?
$29,258.24. This is for demo and replacement.
No, dim.
We have 28, 040. What's the discrepancy?
Oh, so that's the first one you're looking at there. That's the Ag Center barn.
The one that we finished, that was the final.
Yeah, the one I'm looking at, it's got 20.
Fire rescue pole barn, 24,000.
Yeah, but that's got
And
5,000.
five.
And then
What's
5.
that?
The total is
Yeah.
29, 258, 24.
It was already printed by that guy.
When you said, we're actually accepting all three of the alternates, correct?
No, just alt one.
I had to do a different bid tab and didn't make it in the book. That was a little more clear, that showed
Yeah, just,
the total price, and then it showed just the amount that we're awarding.
okay.
So it's 20, so movement, Chair.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill. Is there a second?
Second. With the question,
Second by Commissioner Donifro. Go ahead, sir.
what is the alternate that we're accepting? It's probably in here, but I didn't.
It may not be in there, but the alternate is for the additional metal to be all replaced. FEMA had showed that there was 12% of the remaining metal that could stay there, and so that cost is just to replace the rest of that 12% there. So that it all matches.
All right.
This is the one on where? 71?
Yeah.
Any more questions? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to item number 18, correct, Ms. Willan?
That's correct.
Ms. Carlin Tidwell.
Thank you, Commissioners. This item requests board review and approval of a policy outlining standard procedures for directors with need for staffing options during inclement weather.
What page are you on?
149,
Oh, 149.
140?
149.
Somehow
Yeah, we're
page numbers
skipping
got
one.
left off of the agenda.
Yeah, actually, the policy's on 150.
Yes, go ahead.
So this item is giving options. Option 1 is reassignment, finding additional work to be completed in other comparable areas of the department. Option 2 being training, when available, on-the-job training should be available to learn new skills and or hone current skill level to ensure employees are able to do their jobs to the fullest potential. Option 3, which includes swapping time. This will allow for not working a scheduled day and coming in on a scheduled day off, i.e. Fridays. This will only be used pending a favorable weather forecast. And then option 4, which is liberal leave, which will allow for employees to go home and have the option of using annual leave to cover time for the day. So that's what's included in the outline of the policy.
I have a question, Carlin.
Yes, sir.
Under D, prohibitions,
Yes, sir.
it is not the intent of this policy to have staff that are sent home with no pay and will not be used to punish employees.
Well, it was really more to outline that the intent is to give people options. It is not the intent of this policy to in any way, shape, or form be used as a tool to punish, like, well, we don't think you're doing a good job, you need to go home for the day. This
So-
really is only for inclement weather.
So it probably should read, it is not the intent of this policy to send people home with no pay and will not be used to punish employees. I was just reading it, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, well, I can reword it, or if you have any thoughts or ideas, you can make the changes and drop it by my office and I'll update it.
I'll dictate it.
I think if you want to give the feedback now, then you can go ahead and approve it and we'll update the language.
Okay. All right.
You just want that sentence reworded to be a little more clear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
We
it,
took that and are out. and you
yeah,
It is not the intent of this policy to have staff sent home with no pay.
that's right.
That's
It
good.
will not be.
Right.
posted.
That R needs to come out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you get that?
English major, I got it.
No, I'm not an English major.
So are the options going to be presented to employees as, take option 1, that's the preferred option, or are they allowed to select from any of the 4 options?
No, I think the goal was to give a department director the ability to say, our first goal is to reassign them if I have something for them to do. If not, then I will provide training. If I don't have that, but swapping time is, but not to go to each employee and say, and that would just create chaos.
Okay, any more questions? I hear,
Yes, so moved. I make a motion, we, approve the policy.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Pate. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hill. Donifro, I'm sorry. Have bad hearing. Okay, any more questions? All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries 4-1. Okay, next. Ms. Carlin?
Yes, sir. This next request is at the request of the Jackson County Health Department. Staff has received the attached quotes for 2 vehicles for purchase. Board approval, we are also asking board approval to utilize the state term contract for the purchase of these vehicles, with the request that a financial agreement be made where the BOCC will pay for these vehicles up front and then deduct the total cost from the amount that is normally transferred to the Jackson County Health Department quarterly for the prior budgetary commitment.
So,
Any,
this is not normal, is it?
No.
Why are they asking?
So I did get some clarification. This is from Shan Lane, who is at the health department, who works directly under Sandy. She says that we have to request vehicle purchases in March of each year, even though our funding for budgets aren't ready for the new fiscal year. If we are approved for a vehicle purchase, then we have to purchase from August to October. It's hard to know what your budget will look like for the next fiscal year when asked in March how many vehicles you would like to purchase. So because they weren't aware when they planned the budget for this year that they would be able to get the money, they didn't request in time to have that approved through the state budget. So they're just asking, we agree to transfer them a certain amount quarterly anyway. So we would purchase and then just deduct what we've spent from what we would transfer them.
I don't have a problem doing it, but I'm just wondering why this year?
Timing, I think
But
really
why
it's
this
just a
year?
timing issue.
I mean, we do it.
That's a little tighter in there, drawing in.
so how much do we pay them a year?
36, 136.
136?
It was a little higher this year because of the maintenance. Right.
So we
We've
deduct,
already done, we bought a mower, and we didn't transfer the money.
what time period? 1 month that we'll deduct the,
We're gonna do the total amount from.
Correct, the last quarter. Yes.
Or whenever we pay it. I wouldn't take money that we hadn't paid yet. If it doesn't come
no,
in.
no, once we pay it, we're gonna get it back the following month, right?
Well, no, sir, we just won't transfer them, so we would make, so if we transfer them $50,000 and this is 48,000, we would only transfer them 2,000.
Gotcha.
So it washes at the end.
It washes
Yeah.
at the end, yes, sir.
So move, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Donifro. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next,
Thank you, Commissioner.
Luann.
So at the last meeting, you all directed me to bring back a resolution for economic development incentives, which is in your packet here. And so I've worked with Evan Rosenthal with Neighbors Giblin to develop this. So this is a, in general, economic development incentive resolution. It just says the board wants to offer an economic incentive for the Endeavor property to see development there. So this is not project specific, it's just in general.
I have a question on page 159, section 2, paragraph 1. The next to the last line says residential development shall not be considered a qualifying economic development project.
Yes, that's per the statute.
Is that single family or any residential?
Any residential development is specifically not included, according to Evan, in the economic development. In other words, you have to bid that out. If you want to develop that, you would go through a different process for residential development. This is just for economic development as defined by the statute.
Because we got that 320 acres
Mhm.
that we're looking at to include, maybe passing land to developers for
Right.
them to come out and develop it.
Which would just go through a different process.
Different process to
Right.
take care of, okay. Any other questions?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Pate. Any more questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
And while we're on this topic, I had hoped to have you all in your additions packet, the actual agreement with Mr. Dalal. I have spoken with him and he's in agreement to let this go to the next meeting. We're still working through the details. We worked even as late as last night trying to get it finalized. There's just a couple of outstanding items. So we have a meeting set up to finalize those this week. Just an update.
I guess my question would be, and going back to the discussion at last board meeting, how are we going to advertise these availabilities to the general public?
So I actually have a conversation, a little bit of conversation with Evan. I don't have an answer for that yet. But he recommends us doing that. We want to know for sure what we want there. And so if you just open it up, we want anything, then that could create a little bit of chaos. So he recommends going through a level of planning for that, conversations with the board on what it is you want to see there before you just advertise,
Sure.
we want economic development here,
So
which
we're
could turn
talking
into.
about a specific piece of property now,
Yes,
specific
yes.
parcel of property.
So for this one, I was directed, I think it was the 4 acres next to the fire station. That's what we're talking about with the gas station. But for a more thorough advertising of the property, I just would like to do a little more work, before we officially do
Well,
that.
there are other sections out there that we'll be working to get someone to take.
Yeah, so I understand your point, Mr. Donfro, but so in past, and I'm sure on City of Marietta, so you have a company that comes in and we've named them, I remember I was chairman of Project Buffalo, Project Miami. I mean, there's just a list of the prospective people that's coming in. What do we do if they come in and we haven't advertised that property for someone else? So I think that's my little issue. If someone comes to us, I don't care who they are or where they're from, company wise or what, if they come to us and want to set a property, if we turn around and say, okay, it haven't been publicly advertised for them to get it, then we may be turning them away. As far as the security on the deposit, as far as them having that right of refusal on that property. And so I'm hesitant too of saying that we don't just advertise it to anyone. If someone comes to us or TDC or one of our support staff underneath us, it brings us a particular person that wants to come here, business-wise and meets our credential, do we still have to, are you suggesting we advertise it too? Because I think that's unlimited. If someone comes to us, like when, I think Project Buffalo was a Taurus gun manufacturer that was looking at a site when I was chair, and it was, obviously, they had a specific location they wanted at that time, and if they said yes to them, then we could have said, well, we got to go out and let everybody else know about that property too before we do it. So I just wondered that balancing act, that we might want to make sure that everybody knows, but at the same time, we want people from anywhere to come in and bring a business. So just your
I
thoughts.
think we have pretty well, I know from the get-go, talked about this free land. If you come, there's free land. And that's been one of the incentives to get people out there. I say, I don't have a problem with advertising it. We'll advertise it and we'll put it on the website. I think, Tiffany, is it already on our website?
The Endeavor property is.
So the Endeavor property is already out there, been there for a while, but not what you're saying. A particular company comes along and they're looking at a piece of property. No, I don't want to go that way. Let's advertise it. If you want to get it, it's out there. Come see us.
Yeah.
And then we just move forward, because I don't see anybody knocking our door down. And we're going to have to work hard to get people to come. And if we had to advertise each time, then I think that would be an impediment. Sorry.
So I'm good. I don't know what the heck we're good at this point.
Okay.
That was just discussion about this.
Right, yeah.
All right. I haven't heard a motion though.
I'll make a motion. That's it.
We already did the resolution.
Oh, wait, that's not the resolution. Okay,
The
that's right.
next one's different project.
Yeah, this project, public hearing.
No, this is number 22.
Oh, I see.
And this is actually Michelle's item. She should be on.
I'm here.
This is the resolution, Michelle.
Okay, so you all approved the purchase and sale agreement. This is known as the Sawcross deal. I think this is a parcel out at the industrial park that we own with the city of Marianna. So what's before you now is just the closing package. The title company has asked for a resolution authorizing the sale. And so I would ask the board to consider adopting the resolution, authorize the chairman to sign all the closing documents.
Motion to grant the request.
Have a motion by Commissioner Fake. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hill. Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to public hearing. Where's Hunter Potts? Oh, there he is. I couldn't see you back there, buddy. We're going into public hearing.
So this public hearing is just to gauge any kind of community feedback on our proposed CDBG-CV application, which is the Community Block Grant Coronavirus Small Cities Program application. So basically what we're proposing is an application for a middle mile network for broadband services for low and moderate income areas of Jackson County. And we'll be requesting at minimum $4 million, $4,084,000, which is half of the total project cost that we requested through the CDBG-DR grant. Depending on the requirements of the grant, we may break up our original estimate of the project and apply for a breakdown of a phased planning approach for the construction. The county will develop the infrastructure for the middle mile network, essentially the backbone of the broadband network. And due to the CDBG-CV priority on low and moderate income areas, this project will focus on the areas in the county, these areas in the county, and leverage other county funding sources to complete the network. We propose a backbone ring throughout the county connecting meet-me centers placed near schools or post offices in Marianna, Sneads, Campbellton, Cottondale, and Malone. The proposed ring also strategically passes through the towns of Graceville, Jacob City, Alford, Round Lake, Cypress, Grand Ridge, Two Egg, Bascom, and Greenwood. communities covered by this proposed grant application will be centered around low and moderate income areas. Right, and then just some details on the actual project. It would consist of 528,000 feet of underground construction, fiber optic cable underground, and then possibly 58,000 feet of aerial construction. And covered that again. We try to connect all the county businesses and our county departments and large businesses also in that. And then this is the phase one of the project, and then additional private sector entities will be involved with development and financing of the last mile infrastructure. And so that's pretty much our project.
Okay.
Gotta go to public hearing. Gotta ask.
Are there any people here or online who want to comment on this project?
I've got one hand up on Zoom so far.
Go ahead, Fred. Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Miss Deborah.
Hey there, thank you. My hand was up for something else, but I want to go back to that too. But on this, the broadband, is it going to be, how is the county going to do this? Are you going to, do you anticipate getting a contractor to build the middle mile for you and, use the funding to do that? Is that the look of it? But there, I have another question.
Okay. We will have a contractor that will manage this project to include the engineering, design, and the build. Next question.
Okay, back on the Sawcross project, what was the amount of money that was involved in that final sale for that property, please?
Stand by 1 minute, Deborah.
Thank you. And back to one more thing.
Deborah.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Willan will get that information to you offline, okay?
Okay, one more question.
Do you have it?
I
don't, I'm not looking at my
We're
packet.
in, okay,
Danielle, tell me the amount. You hear that?
I heard 35,000. I didn't get the rest.
Split between the city and the county.
Okay, thank you. Now, one more thing. I could not tell what happened in that last discussion before number 22 with Sawcross. Did y'all have a motion right before Sawcross related to the previous development incentives? Did y'all approve that? I could not tell. I'm sorry.
They approved the resolution, Deborah, which is in the packet. They approved that, and then they just had a little bit follow-up discussion on advertising the property in general, and there was no action taken. It was just discussion.
Okay, thank you. Now, one more thing, yes.
Deborah.
In adopting this, can you hear me still?
I got you. Go ahead for one question.
Sir. Yes, sir, I promise. In going with the deal with Mr. Dalal, does that not follow what you just passed? Are you gonna, why is that one being set out different, or am I just misunderstanding the relationship between what you just did and that project?
It will follow what we just did. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, anyone else, Fred?
If there's anybody else who would like to speak, you may raise your hand using *9 or via the raise hand feature on your computer.
Hearing none, we're out of public hearing.
Make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill to accept this. Second. I have a second by Commissioner McKinney. Any questions from the board? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those, well, 5-0. Moving along. Ms. Wendy. Stand by. We got to go back into a public hearing.
I guess I'm confused. There was no action required on that item. So what was your motion?
We approved his request.
His request was just to have a public hearing.
Not in the public hearing. Why was it?
Why is in the public
So
hearing?
technically, just CDBG requires the public to be able to comment on it, so you didn't technically have to approve anything, but I guess you're blessing.
We approve
we're
what he
approving.
said.
Whether we supposed to or not.
It's a little different than what y'all normally see.
Okay. Ms. Wendy, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Item number 2 is a request for a general development order to construct an 11,475 square foot building to be known as Hampton Inn and Suites construction. It's the construction of a 44,517 square foot vehicular use area and sidewalks. And the project will be located on the southwest corner of Highway 71 South and Magnolia Road. The Planning Commission recommended approval.
Thank you. Are there any comments from anyone in here? Fred, do you have any questions?
I do not see any hands raised.
Hearing none, we're out of public hearing. Do I hear a motion? Have a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Donifro. Any questions from the board? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next.
Item number 3 is a request for a general development order for the Shepherd's Rest. It is for a campground of 7 cabins with a meeting pavilion, mechanical shed, totaling 4,956 square feet of impervious surface, and includes 2 RV hookups totaling 2,080 square feet of impervious surface and 15,622 square feet of impervious surface, subject to the vehicular use area. And it is located approximately 1,384 feet west of Highway 71 South and 6.3 miles south of the I-10 corridor, and the Planning Commission recommended approval.
So we're still in public hearing. Yes. Okay. Are there any comments from anyone in the room? Fred, you have any questions?
I have no hands raised.
Hearing none, we're out of public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to accept.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Pate. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Item number 4 is a request for a 190-foot tall wireless telecommunications facility. Power South submitted the application for the tower. The request is to construct the 190-foot telecommunication tower on the property owned by Power South. And it's located at 4970 Ford Road. The application includes a variance request for section 74-4486, which requires landscaping around all visible equipment shelters, and section 74-449C5E, which allows shared use of the new tower by other providers. The Planning Commission recommended approval.
We're still in public hearing. Anybody have a comment? Fred?
No hands raised.
Hearing none, we're out of public hearing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Pate, second by Commissioner Hill. I do have a question. Why would we forfeit our right to utilize this tower? Not that we want to do it now, but who knows what's going on with technology in the future.
So Amber Barnes spoke to Jeff Johnson with the Sheriff's Office Communications, and this is not a high enough tower. We need around 250 feet. This is 190 feet. And also, this isn't a public tower. It's a private tower for them to use for their own purpose from one
Gotcha.
tower to another.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more questions?
Commissioner?
Yes.
On the development order back in the section that has the comments. They're asking, normally, number 5 is included in that. but
Right.
With that, I just want to make it clear to be
Right.
deleted. Okay.
That's why I was asking the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Next, Ms. Wendy.
So we're out of public hearing.
We are out of public hearing because we just voted.
Thank you so much. This is a request for permission for the chairman to sign a certification form for the SHIP program's 2017-2018 annual report, which is for the closeout of that funding year.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hill. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Donifro. Are there any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Miss Angela Clark.
Good morning. I was going to help you with that when I got up here. So it's a silent P. It's Angela Clough. So I appreciate the opportunity to share with you all, because I know it's been a while. Board of County Commissioners has supported our campaign, our workplace campaign, for longer than I've been around. So I've been with United Way about 2.5 years. Several people in this room know me for the work that I did with more of the long-term recovery work. Like many of us in the community, what our normal work day was kind of revamped into something else. For myself, I was also 3 weeks on the job when the hurricane happened. But fortunately, I did have some skills that were able to help with the long-term recovery. And so that was a nice, easy transition for myself. I hope that everybody has one of these. I do see one down on the floor. So is anybody missing one?
Not mine. I got one.
I know there's a brochure, but then there's one that's a Jackson specific. Everybody got that?
We'll consider that extra. Go
Okay,
ahead.
excellent. So I want to really go into some of our work that we specifically have done in the past 2.5 years, but I know there's a wide variety of knowledge of United Way. And honestly, some of you probably know more about the history of United Way in Jackson County than I even do, since again, it was kind of sink or swim. I was 3 weeks on the job when the hurricane hit. So I want to first be able to do a little bit of background, and that is just, United Way started, it was what was called the community chest during the war, putting chests together for the soldiers. What were the needs? So the community would put that chest, and someone might bring a blanket, someone might bake some bread, put it in there, and then it would be sent off to the soldiers. So after the war ended, it was really that same kind of work that we're doing today, which is gathering resources from the community to be able to meet the needs of the community, similar work. And how our primary nuts and bolts of how we do that is what's called a workplace campaign. Just going into different workplaces like you all do to present the opportunity, where they partner with us to present the opportunity to employees to say, okay, do you want to give $1 a week, $5 a week out of your paycheck? Are you interested in doing that? And then they can give back to something, that's close to their heart. We all have different interests. So just presenting the opportunity in a similar way that we do like with 401ks or IRA plans, we put into our future. But the nice part about it is if you were to walk up to me and ask me if I had $100 in my pocket, I don't, but I could give you $1 a day, $2 a day, which adds up over time. So that's what makes it nice and easy and appealing to people to be able to do it that way. But again, it's all those resources, combined resources that really make the impact in the community. So by pulling that together by numerous workplaces and one person's $1, $5 a week, and what that adds up to over the year is the way that we're able to really make that impact. So I do want to note before I go into this that we do not provide direct services. So while there's, people that need food and people that need housing and childcare services, we are, again, that resource puller that provides that funding to those agencies that are doing that great work. So when, we look at things like Chipola Baptist Association or ministries, and then Innovative Charities, North Florida Inland Long-Term Recovery, all those groups that are doing great things here, we're pulling those resources to support them. We're not doing that direct work. our niches and our nuts and bolts of what we do as the fundraisers. They're great at what they do. We're great at what we do. And it works well together because, as you know, to have a thriving community, we need partnerships to make that happen. So we work together in that way, and it's really, you know, helping them and help us, and we all work together to meet the needs of the community. So now I do want to go to this. You'll see on the front part, just what we call our county advisory committee. There's only been one change to this recently, and that's Pam changed to Sydney Armstrong on there. But this is really the committee that I work with within Jackson County. If I have questions about different things, I need, you know, input on something, these are the people that I work with. They're also the people that review our grant applications, and they make the hard decisions to say, this is what I've got, this is what the needs are, how are we going to disperse that money? So for me, that advisory committee is very important. On the backside, you'll see participating businesses. Now you'll see on there that there's just 4 businesses. Again, Board of County Commissioners is one of them. Thank you for that. It used to be that we had several more, but as you know, we had Hurricane Michael. Immediately, we had just started our campaign that year. So we did suspend our campaign for obvious reasons that year. And then following that, you know, COVID, but also there was what we called the federal campaign that ended, so that state agencies like the prisons and such were all doing a campaign that ended about, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. So that was a huge hit to us. So for several reasons, our participating businesses has really gone down. So the 4 that we have left is Jackson County School District, the Board of County Commissioners, Jackson County Clerk of Court, and the Florida Public Utilities. So I won't say last year because now we're in a new year and I haven't totaled up 2020 yet. But what those businesses brought in 2019 altogether was $4,304. So that can certainly help with some of the work that we do. But if you look below that, you'll see our 2019 grants. And if you total that up, that's $114,000. So huge gap there, about $100,000 gap. And to add to that, that's just the grants that we gave out. If somebody, when we do this workplace campaign, and I know it's been a while since you guys have done a kickoff, but when you look at the pledge form on the bottom, they can designate what agency they want it to go to. They can also designate what county. So say they did it to Life Management Center, they can designate that county. They cover several counties, so they can designate it to Jackson County, or they can just do Jackson County in general. So when they do that, that money goes directly to them. So that's not counted within our grants. When school started up this year, we knew because of COVID, it's going to be a hard hit for a lot of people. So we went and bought 100 backpacks for the different school districts. So when we dropped them off to Jackson County School District, we didn't put the amount of the cost of 100 backpacks in here. Work that I know there's people in this room that are aware of that we did for not granting to the North Florida Inland for long-term recovery, but helping write grants and assisting them through that process and making it possible for them to hire their first staff on. That's not in this, and I can tell you that alone was hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what we need to do to maintain this, and the only reason that we're able to do this are 2 things. Number one, we got a lot of funding in for Hurricane Michael. So as unfortunate as we were for that experience, we did get money from across the world that we were able to use to grant back into the communities to help with that work. So that boosted some of that money that we could give out. This past year, when I add up the 2020 amounts, there's also going to be another boost because we were able to put together what was called the COVID Impact Fund. And with that fund, we had places like Gulf Power, the Florida Blue Foundation, some big foundations really put money into that. So again, that boosted what we were able to do. But at some point, we've got to, and this is what my work will be and has been, is really just growing these participating businesses so that we have more that are doing the workplace campaign so that we can maintain and keep giving out at the level we are, because that's where the needs are. So that is gonna, that has been my work really this year, because like I said, the first year we really suspended that campaign. last year was me just learning the campaign. So that's been the work that I've been doing a lot this year. So unless anybody has any questions, I have a real quick, hopefully someone is going to play a real quick video.
I guess my only question would be, and I think you answered it, but your advisory committee helps decide how the funds that you raise are expended and where those funds will go as far as the different organizations that you support.
Yes, they have to review all the grant applications and then kind of spread what's available out. Yes.
Danielle, do we allow payroll deduction?
In August, we have an open enrollment. I think it's for participation sale because we're grandfathered in with our health insurance renewal, but I mean, that would be a time that you could sell it to those employees that came through.
So when is the enrollment time period?
I mean, I think we say changes whenever. So she could go to the department individually and speak, but August is open enrollment officially.
Okay, so maybe in August, you can provide some information for the employees of the county.
Yeah, I can do that anytime.
To make sure that, and we can push it out if they want to do a payroll deduction, they have that option.
Right.
And so Sydney Armstrong is sort of going to head this up and work with Angela to, get the information to the employees and sort of restart the campaign.
Okay.
And yeah, so we haven't actually done the workplace campaign and the pledges out in a while, but it's no fault of anybody because we had this, actually Carla and I had discussions and then COVID hit, so that didn't happen this year. But yeah, we're going to move forward. We're hoping to expand on what we're doing with you guys, so I appreciate it.
Fred?
It's hard to hope, hard to cope with crisis. But while we might be all alone, we've never been more tightly tethered because we'll only weather this unknown together. So we get to work. We mend, we don't break even when we bend. Somewhere, another mom pays her bills. Somewhere, another child eats his fill. We are the world's neighbors, making our communities brighter, greater, fighting for every person in the neighborhood. We, the coming of the common good, so dare to care, to be hope-sighted. We're never divided, for when we live to give, we always live united.
I have one question before we leave. What percent of your donations is expended on administration?
I always get that question. The hard part about that answer is it's different for everything. For instance, our Hurricane Michael money, we did not take 1 penny of that. We distributed well over $1 million, and we did not do any charges with that for all of the work that it, to write checks for all of that, to do the grant process or anything. And then last year, normally, we do have an administrative fee to when someone directs it directly to a nonprofit before it goes to them. Last year, we didn't charge that fee because of COVID. We knew that the nonprofits that we are working to help had that struggle, and we knew that we had a pretty successful campaign last year that had fortunately just closed.
Okay.
So it varies.
Thank you. Any other questions for you guys? Okay, Ms. Willan?
I don't have anything.
No.
Oh,
There's supposed to be an update by Dan from GP Strategies.
They did not send us anything.
Okay,
Where did you find that?
it's on the bottom of my sheet.
Never mind.
Well, I guess I was special. They gave it to me.
You are special. Well, both of y'all special.
I don't mind.
There's 2 runs.
Obviously, because I didn't get the page numbers, but I got that. All right, moving along. Paul?
Just any update on litter control, Scotty? Any progress on how we're handling that or what we're gonna be able to do with that?
We met last week with Chief Jeter, and he's working on trying to get enough inmates to try to possibly put 2 crews out with the correctional officers, and then we're gonna look into trying to maybe him hire 2 more with the funding we have, if he can get the inmates and the correctional officers. But we're hoping, me and him's gonna talk back on Friday of this week and see where he got with the inmates. But even if we only get it 3 days a week, we can send those crews of 4. It'd be 4 inmates and a correctional officer, and they really gotta walk. You know, even if we could provide them something, they kind of gotta walk, so it'd be slow, but at least they can go and hotspot it, you know. And what we'd do is give them a list of roads to work, and go from there.
Mr. Donifro, during the last budget, we approved money to hire 2 correctional officers from DOC.
Just one.
Was 1 or 2?
2. 100,000.
But anyway, that's where the money's coming from, that he will be utilized, hopefully by Mr. Jeter out at the jail.
So that was stated.
Yeah, boy.
I mean, I just want to caution the board that was one-time money paid state.
Right.
You'll be creating positions that you will have to continue to support.
Well, and actually what Mr. Taylor is referring to doesn't involve that money yet.
No,
So
no,
these
like I said,
are-
we're gonna use the current ones right now.
These are existing employees as a starting up.
Okay.
But that money could possibly be
Right.
considered, but obviously if it was going to be a recurring employee, we'd have to address that.
Right.
Okay.
I thought we were looking at state corrections.
Right, we did.
Right, and they can't even staff the
Right.
prisons, and so let alone get us anything.
Anything else, Paul?
No, sir.
I forgot Michelle. Michelle, are you on there?
I'm here. I don't have anything.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill has nothing. Commissioner Pate? Commissioner McKinney?
On the issue with waste pickup, have we looked at, Scott, maybe partnering with waste management or discussions for us?
I haven't talked in waste management. We tried to reach out to some of the camps that have the female juveniles in it. I think there's a female one over in Liberty County, which is too far up here. But we had talked about it, me and Kenny did, about reaching out and trying to talk to waste management, see if there's anything they can do or anything they know that can help us. And another thing, I mean, I've done a lot of reading about it, and we need some kind of campaign to get in these people's minds, you know, for them to talk to people about not throwing it out, or if they see somebody to report it, because I mean, it starts with them, you know. And I had a lady call me last week, and I knew her well enough that I said, have you talked to anybody that you know about maybe not throwing it out? Oh, I don't know anybody that throws it out. I'm like, yeah, I know somebody. I said, just talk about it, you know. I said, you call us and we'll pick it up. I said, yeah, and that's what we want to do. I said, but it's at a rate that's out of control. And it's not just here. I mean, when you start digging into it, everybody's having this issue. And like I said, looking at the pricing that come in on last year's bids and bids I'm seeing coming in, we're looking at $300,000 with a contractor. And he's gonna go down the road one time, once a month. And if, you know, it's not gonna, I've looked at different ways of putting it out to where, okay, you ain't gotta go down this road because it ain't that dirty, but it just gets, they'll play with the pricing to where it's still gonna be at that. So
That would be an annual cost?
that would, yes, sir. You know, but I mean, it just,
Pate?
I was just gonna add, I think last time I mentioned too, and maybe some more, about doing a campaign with the sheriff's department and the county. I
Right.
mean, I don't know that you're gonna catch anybody, but if you get them thinking, everybody's watching me, I better not throw this out the, you know, as kids, I was out of the way. Somebody seen that and told my daddy I'd be in trouble and pay a fine. So could we make a big campaign in the whole county and try to crack down on it? Maybe people get to thinking, yeah, no, I need to
Well,
take that
and
to a garbage can.
there's
Don't throw it out the window.
I mean, just since we're up here talking about it, Marion County, they got it with the courts, and the judges started issuing people when they're put on probation to 40 and 80 hours of roadside cleanup. And the way they handle it is if it's just regular probation, he can come, he gets you know, the bags, picks the stuff up, he can go do a road by himself, or however he wants to do it. And if he does it well, you know, they get time off for it too then, you know, that way you're not having to, you know, more or less supervise them. Then they have it also where they got the probation people that they put in groups and do it too. But, and then they try to use the jail inmates. But, you know, that's something I was going to bring up later, was if we could get to courts, but, you know, I don't know how that would work. It would be a drawn out thing to get all that adjusted, but that's just some stuff I've learned in the last few days when I've kind of dug into some of these other communities, on it.
Sheriff, didn't Jackson County do that at one time? You were with probation a long time.
For state probation, only probation, they're allowed to do it anywhere that is a nonprofit, a county nonprofit. You have to sign this work site agreement and blah, blah, blah. Then somebody has to go supervise them and sign off on the hours.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't mean they necessarily have to sit there and watch them, they just have to verify.
That's what Marion County kind of does.
He comes back with full, and obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Work County and Malone had a program like that as such, you know, but what happened to it, I don't know. They did have a road crew doing exactly that.
From the prison.
Right.
Yes, sir. We used to, but with all the classification changes, they're going to CM over there. All their inmates will be, the majority of them will be close management. They're no longer going to have that. And we've kind of been dealing with ACI in Graceville, and like I said, they can't get the staff.
They have to struggle keeping up with all the things they've got to keep up with now.
Right.
Cutting grass. Most counties go with their county inmates when they develop programs like all the inmates you see picking up garbage on the side of the road. Most of those are county jail inmates with county curriculum.
Chief Cheater is checking with the courts because there's a lot of stipulations on letting them get out there. And, you know, if we can get, 4, 8, I mean, if we could work all of them, some way or another, I mean, it'd be nice.
Well, I think
but I mean, like I said, we'll try to work together and get this campaign. I'll get with the sheriff and, and see. And I started yesterday, then I had to go out and deal with some road issues, writing up some stuff to get Tammy to put on to Facebook, on to social media about, people, don't do it. If you do see somebody, report it,
So now, are you putting out a bid for a contract to pick up litter?
At this time, we was gonna try to do it, see if we could get it worked out with the inmates and do it. Now, if y'all want me to go ahead and put it out, I can put it out.
I'll be personal. I think, Scott, we don't probably have to run them in tandem, at least see what the pricing is. The reason I'm saying that, some of the roads are getting horrific. I mean, it's the main thoroughfare. I mean, some of the roads, what I've noticed, and I was told by the previous 2 commissioners before me in this district, was, you notice, I'll give you an example, Rocky Creek Road is my worst one. And most of it is because they leave the fast food areas on the interstate, and they leave and they go in cutting through Cypress to go to Cypress. And I think it's a moral compass thing too, because again, I'm like Commissioner Payton, I'm sure like all of us, we used to have a little bag in the car or something, you always put it out there and you carried it out. Now I got a nice clean car, that's easier because it's not my responsibility.
Delmore Road, when you leave Loves, they get, a couple hundred yards down there and the McDonald's stuff starts.
Right.
And,
so I think we ought to just go out for bid, just see the pricing.
Put it out and see if it's in our
But
ballpark.
Sheriff, correct me if I'm wrong, that I think county can't use inmates that's got out-of-state warrants or out-of-county warrants, and I think there's obviously some dynamics. But we can work with a judge on some of those, because if we can get some of the funding, even if it's non-reoccurring, to use some of this year to maybe even look at the correction officers, either state, I don't know how that would work, the state correction officers could oversee our county inmates while they're off duty. I don't know if the coverage area on that. But I know that some of the inmates the correction officers are working overtime to get that extra money. If we could have it kind of like our mowing crew.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how that works, but we talked about, you know, like with some of the jail employees coming in, but that's overtime, so they just eat through it, you know, pretty quick. But I mean, I don't know if a state correction officer can moonlight at a normal rate for the state, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But I mean, it's something we look at. I mean,
they work at 3-2-2-3,
not a bad idea.
and so if they're working.
The highway patrol does it, you know, on the DOT stuff. But there's a lot of liability though if an inmate runs on.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You know.
Okay.
All right.
All right, did you have something? You got something else?
No, I was just piggybacking on
Blake,
McKinney.
Danielle, Carly? Okay, Fred, does anyone from the public have anything?
If anybody from the public would like to speak, they can raise their hand on Zoom. I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, moving along. I do have a couple of things. No, I'm the chairman.
With your little postcard.
Yeah, with my postcard. For Commissioner Donifro and Commissioner McKinney, last year or the year before, we went through a deal with looking at landscaping requirements here in the county. The county had some what I call atrocious landscape policies imposed that they were imposing on businesses. We thought we had cleaned it up and got rid of it. Well, it raised its ugly head again. What I would like you two to do is please go and read the landscaping ordinance and the comp plan pertaining to landscaping, and also do the same thing for RVs. We got a big issue with people living in RVs and around the county, whether the RV's got to house a fence around it or whatever. We need to look at that. At the next meeting, we will bring this up and discuss it. But I want you to kind of get up to speed before the meeting, because it would be unfair for us to try to discuss it without y'all having had a chance to read it. The other thing, got a call from funeral home, and he's concerned about funeral homes out of county, coming into the county and picking up bodies at the request of the family. They do not get, and transporting them to the medical examiner. Those funeral homes, due to our rules, do not get paid. I think the one, what's it, Gilbert? Gilbert. Over in Chipley, they come into Jackson County occasionally, as does some of the others occasionally go over into other counties. Ours go over there. Ms. Willant, could you guys check to see what the other counties are doing and bring it back to us so we can take a look at it?
Question to you, you're talking about a specific situation where the family
request
for them to come in and get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. In a case like that, the family need to waive the fee that the county would normally transport fee.
We don't pay a transport fee to.
Out of state, out of county, I understand that.
Right.
But I'm saying, in a case like that, it's up to the family to pay that funeral home, not the county.
The
family has to waive the fee.
I agree with you. So you're saying the situation you got into, we don't pay it if it's out of county, it has to be in county funeral home.
If they want to use county services, it need to be in county.
Right.
Provided.
Okay.
Yes, Danielle.
You currently have that policy.
That's
You've
right.
not paid any other outside funeral homes. It's my understanding Over has done that a few times, but he doesn't charge the family. He does it as just as.
Pro bono?
Pro bono.
Because he gets the funeral service.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but that's not impacting our budget though, so that shouldn't matter if we don't pay anything for it.
Not let them do business in Jackson County?
No,
Is that-
no.
No, that is not what I said.
I'm just wondering.
I don't think, if a family requests him to come in, he picks up the body and transports it to the medical examiner. He does not get paid by us
Right.
or the family. He has to eat it.
Well, the family could pay that if he so chose.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but he can't impose that bill on us
No,
at the family's request, which I again.
we do pay for other people here in the county to pick them up and haul them to the medical examiner.
That is correct,
Right.
$100.
What I want to know is what the other counties are doing to our
You
people.
want to know, are the other counties limiting it to only in county?
Right.
Okay.
So
Why
what
would we
business is that of
pay-
ours? I'm asking.
Yeah,
I'm
why
getting
do
a
we
complaint
pay
from one of my
the
constituents.
transfer?
Oh, I understand, but what, I mean, what's the complaint? I mean, if I live out of county and my family parish
I
in
mean,
Jackson
state
County, I
does.
live in Gaston County, and I want my family to be picked up, that's my choice. I can't charge the county for that, though. That should be my choice.
So
It's the state.
here's what I think happens in this case. I think that, and I don't know Mr. Obert, but I think because he's just over in Washington County, he has a lot of family, friends, et cetera, in the Cottondale, Alford area, Graceville. And so I think they call him specifically because that's where they want that relationship to be.
Yeah.
It's not,
But
it's,
not at our expense.
well, that's your choice. That's a policy issue.
Yeah.
Currently,
We're
it's not at
paying
your
it
expense.
anyway.
Oh, that's good. That's what
We're
I'm
not
saying.
paying it now,
Right.
And my
but
question-
are we being
Well, what
fair
if
to
you want
Mr.
from-
Ober?
Well, yeah, he's out of county.
So does the funeral home not understand what our policy is?
Yeah,
No,
that's
they
fine.
do.
Yeah,
I
they
think,
know.
I think the
Well, why
bigger
is it-
question, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I thought when you told me this, that the bigger question was, are we being fair to our citizens by saying you can only use Jackson County when they may have a level of comfort with Mr. Obert?
Well, we're not, though.
Well,
That's
we
a
are.
private
in the-
transaction then.
Somebody's
Yeah.
got to pay, you know, if it's a situation where the family can't pay, then he's out.
Well, then we'd have to set the guidelines, because they might be family in Pensacola that have.
No,
something.
no,
I mean, if he.
I mean,
if
you
he
want
would
one
have
should
guidelines,
know,
yes.
so
Yeah,
He does
yeah.
it for free.
I just want to know what the other counties are doing to our people.
And just to be clear, you're paying to get that body to the medical
Medical
examiner,
examiner,
$400.
that's right.
Sure.
The funeral home that they choose goes to pick that body up.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they get to choose who gets the body ultimately, and I guess then there are situations, according to the past sheriff, that the family's very adamant, they don't want anybody else to get their family member.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I can understand that.
Sure.
That's probably.
But that's a personal, private transaction, that.
Exactly.
What happens if somebody in Washington County wants you to go get a body there? Do you know?
I'm gonna go pick it up. I mean, you know, but I don't.
Usually
charge-
they're gonna
Right,
use you.
Right,
as-
exactly.
Does
But I don't
Washington
charge-
County pay?
No, I don't incur any charges or passing charges on towards Washington County.
Right.
Towards those charges.
If they call him to go, they're pretty much gonna
Well,
use
let's-
him for the business of.
Let's find out what the other counties are doing, then we'll bring it back.
But let me just be clear, Mr. Ober is saying, in this one situation, maybe others feel the same way, just haven't spoke to you, is that he lives so close to the eastern side of our, western side of our county, eastern side of his, that his
Yeah.
clientele possibly flows over, as
Oh,
I'm sure
they
does.
will.
Is that our policy does drop, but how often would that really happen, though? I mean, what's the odds of that happening?
It happens a lot with this one case, but he's not the one that said anything. It was a citizen
Oh,
that
citizen,
wanted,
I'm sorry,
yes.
okay.
Somebody else
Oh,
complained
okay, I
to
got
me.
you. So they saying we should pay for it if.
No,
you're
no,
talking about
I want to
intimate
look and
circumstances, right?
see
Right.
if other counties are paying our people, then are we doing a disservice to Mr. Ober?
Because
not
I guess you're talking about
compensate
someone like in a fatality situation with a
Sure.
wreck or
See,
something.
this where we get to the gray area with this policy, when we have an incident, fatality, like you said, or something like that, murder, what have you going on, and they call, state trooper will call us, or either the county will call us to transport the body to the medical examiner. But they going by a list of who's on the rotation,
Rotation.
and that's what they see is going.
Right.
That's right.
You know.
But if they're on that rotation list, and correct me if I'm wrong now, there's pre-obligations with the county to say that we'll pay one of the two of them, correct?
They're gonna pay for one.
That's right.
One is what you call.
Right.
But now, to transport it to the medical examiner.
Right, that's
And
it.
it's up to the family, whoever they want to use, to pick it up from the medical examiner at that time.
Yeah, that's right. That's
We'll look.
Give me some information,
We will.
and we'll proceed from there.
Does the state trooper look at the list and say, okay, we're in Jackson County, McKinney or?
No, they just call dispatch sheriff department.
They have a rotation.
Whoever,
Right.
could be a different county.
The same way as it is on a rotation for a record. Yeah, they have a record list and it's.
So that
But what I
could be
do
that-
feel an issue though, for us, you know, So certain families just want certain funeral homes to handle their loved ones.
Yep.
You know, in a case like that, when you call the shots like that, you need to be responsible for the
That's right, that's,
procurement of the body. You know.
Anything else? Meeting's adjourned.